everyone. My name is Christopher, and I use ze, them, and he, him pronouns.
And I'm Judah. I use they/them.
And today we're here with very special guests, the band Grocer from Philadelphia. They're an art punk group, and they're coming to LA in March 30th, to Junior High LA to do a tour for their new EP. So please introduce yourselves.
Hi. Hi, I'm Cody. I they, them pronouns.
I'm Danielle. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Nick. I use he, him pronouns.
Thank you so much for coming. I love being able to platform smaller bands. Like, we've been getting really into your discography over the last few weeks, especially Judah. And we were so excited to be able to have you on today because your music's really cool and we're excited to see you in March. So Judah, you want to take it away? First question.
Yeah, so I guess my first question is, because I'm like a newer listener, I only found out about you guys just a few weeks ago, because I don't know. my Apple algorithm still hasn't put you on my radar. But then I got this opportunity to interview you guys, which I'm like super excited about. So my first question is how might you describe your music to first-time listeners?
Well, to be fair, Judah, our Apple Music numbers are dreadfully low. So It is not surprising that the algo hasn't kicked us to you yet.
I usually, so I don't have to have too long of a conversation, usually describe us as weird alt-rock.
Okay.
I feel like people will often make like sonic comparisons to like 90s alternative rock, and I think we're just like that, but a little bit weirder.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a three-headed beast of some kind. I'm not sure. It's alt rock feels right. I feel like I'm the one who came up with the art punk thing in the subject line. I think so, like a ring to it. So I guess I feel like that applies. I feel like we're punk in approach, but not necessarily in sound, and maybe that's where I get that descriptor from. Mm-hmm. But yeah. That's a horrible answer.
I feel like that question, I feel like every band's like, we're hard to describe. Like you listen to them and you're like, you guys are a Blink-182 cover band. What do you mean? You know exactly what you are. But I feel like we do have a tendency, like we're for sure in the rock umbrella. But I think song to song, we can genre hop a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that we don't like hold ourselves to a genre and we're like, oh, this doesn't sound like shoegaze, or like this doesn't sound like mathy enough, or whatever. So
all right.
So it sounds like first conversations with new listeners. Just give me 5 minutes and I'll explain it to you, and we'll get there.
I gotta write some stuff down. I gotta pull up my PowerPoint.
Okay, I guess that kind of leads into my next question. What does your perfect Grocer Essentials playlist look like? So if you were to have just a playlist of all of your songs, which ones would you put on there as like mandatory listening, and then
of our own songs, you're saying?
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind, I think, is Better Now. Feels sort of somewhat quintessential, like the birth of our sound.
Yeah,
or something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I was gonna say Pick Away. I feel like Pick Away is where closer to like where we're headed or something. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we've become. I feel like that song is always in every live set now at this point.
And then this is coming out in March, so the Smooth Operator, the second single off of the EP, which is out and has been out for a month, would also probably be on that. I'm realizing that I think I'm just thinking about like where we were in our lives when we wrote certain things, and like those feel like kind of touchstone or cornerstone songs. I feel like Better Now, yeah, you're totally right. We like figured out what exactly it was we were doing with that song, like as a band. Pick Away, I feel like we were in a really particular location, like geographically as a group. And then I think Smooth Operator really is like the furthest, like the weirdest we've got. And so I don't know. I think that shows like how far we're able to go. So if it were a 3-song EP, I'm going to force us to stop. It's a 3-song playlist. 7 minutes.
I feel like there's something to be said for like that's one song from each of us singing, and I think like each of us has a kind of distinct voice, and to really get the picture of what we're like, I think listening to songs that each of us sing really kind of shows our boundaries more.
And you mentioned geographically. I actually grew up in Wayne in Pennsylvania, so close to Philly. Would you guys say like being from Philly or like the culture of Philly informs your music or your style or anything like that? Because you mentioned specifically geographically, so I'm wondering.
So like definitely yes. It's funny though, when I said we were actually in a trailer in Georgia when we wrote that song. It was the day of the insurrection when I came up with the lyrics.
Oh my god.
And so I feel like that song, to me, I'm still transported to a very specific time and place by happenstance, not Philadelphia. But to answer your question, yes, definitely. I feel like it's hard to not feel the like weight of the music scene of Philadelphia in like a bunch of different ways, which I don't know, maybe that's why we stretch out as often as we do, because there's really just so much going on here. And it feels like a town, I still say town. It feels like a city.
The small town of Philadelphia,
yes,
Pennsylvania.
A humble town where, I don't know.
Maybe compared to LA.
It seems like an incubator of, It seems like an incubator for all types of cool music, like literally all genres. And so I think it just existing here, definitely you feel the weight of it.
I do think it's really interesting that you mentioned like geographical locations in terms of songs that you wrote, because I don't know, I just think as a music listener, like I don't dabble in creating music, but I do listen to music, and there are some songs that I will say like have defined certain parts of my life. So yeah, I think that's really awesome that you take from like the world around you and you make that into some really like wonderful songs. My next question is, and I probably should have asked this first, but what's the origin story behind Grocer? How did you start? What drove you to create like these new albums and create music together?
I feel like these two have been doing it for a hot sec.
You go ahead.
Danielle and I have been playing music together for
13 years.
13 years.
Oh wow. That's a whole teenager.
We kind of started actually playing like covers as a duo.
Blink-182 covers. No, I'm just kidding.
And we lived in New York for a while and played in a band there with like a bunch of string players, and that was a whole thing. And then we moved to Philly and thought we were going to keep that band alive, and we had a tour planned, and we didn't have bandmates anymore because we were in a new city, so we sort of put out a call for musicians. And
I was moving across from Minnesota to Philly to like live with my partner who got a job out here, and we just like connected on Facebook.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we actually like we sort of all met as a tour for a different band that used to exist, and then we were like, this new thing is more fun, and we should like start fresh as a new project. And so we changed the name, and
we voted with we had the full spreadsheet with a bunch of different names, and like mocked up our press photos with different versions of what our name like could have been.
I feel like the album Little Splash, which was like kind of created before the members of the band were even in the band, it's sort of like pre-Grocer, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Little Splash was a finalist as the name.
That's cute.
We were thinking we had the Pixies, we had
Taken.
Turns out Talking Heads,
also taken.
Wait, do you have? I feel like you had one that was like television.
TV Talker.
TV
Talker. Yeah, that is a good one. I still like that.
We can change our name.
You heard it here first. You guys are now TV Talker.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to update the podcast.
Cool. You guys got the exclusive.
Yeah, I guess we officially became Grocer like January 2020, and then the pandemic happened a few months later.
How convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Wow,
short end of that stick, I would say.
Lots of your journey resounding around global trauma, i.e. the insurrection and the start of the pandemic. Well,
for everyone though.
Yeah.
That's the point.
I kind of wanted to ask how it felt to make music like during the pandemic, because obviously that's such a different process than it would have been pre-pandemic.
Nick and I lived together, and I feel like as soon as the lockdown happened and everyone, I feel like some people were like, oh, we're going to go into bubbles. Cody pretty much immediately.
I really was not digging the roommates I had at that time.
Immediately moved in with us. And so we just like wrote music like
it got easier for us, honestly.
Yeah.
We sort of got lucky. I mean, they record everything in the basement anyways, and it's like a really high quality situation. So we were able to, it almost made us able to record things more quickly.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I guess because you're that's the only thing you're doing, really. You're like, okay, might as well go to the basement.
Yeah, I think more than other people that we know, like I think we were like really
trying to do the
staying
thing.
active. Like we were kind of like this is what we enjoy doing anyway. And even though shows aren't happening, like we're gonna find a way to do something.
I don't want to say no. It's like I feel like there were two paths that people took where it was like I'm gonna commit super hard, or I'm gonna use this as a reason to take a break from the thing. And I think we were definitely like in that first camp where we're like, how much can we do? Because we're just like, we have all the time in the world.
We're like, we're going to do improv exercises.
Yeah, no, it was like the jams got pretty structured, and like we were, exploring a lot, just what could it sound like? What do we sound like together? And weirdly, probably a good time for a pandemic to hit a new band like us. I think it gave us the time to really incubate and land on something cool.
Yeah, I just knew a lot of bands that kind of like started and then died after the pandemic.
So we're glad that wasn't you all.
Yeah, because I would have been so gutted had I figured out that you existed and then not being able to and none of you creating music anymore. But yeah, I'm really happy that the pandemic actually made your experiences a lot better in terms of your band and creation. A little bit unrelated, because we did talk about earlier how to describe your music to first-time listeners, but I kind of wanted to ask, and I should have asked that before we left that question, but your music has a very, and you even said it has a very 90s grunge indie rock feel to it. And I wanted to ask, what influences and inspires your music?
So I guess if you were having a playlist of other people's music, what would be on it?
Which we did actually make.
We did,
We did recently make one of those. I feel like there's a lot of bands from Chicago that we really love, like Deeper and Floaty and Hex and Spirits Having Fun. I think they're all on Born Yesterday Records or something. There's so much cool shit happening in Chicago. Wombo from Louisville, of course, lovely. Palm, definitely.
And these are all bands from that are currently active that I listen to.
Where people like that band, I've listened to both the bands we're playing with in LA, and they're cool, but I knew Guppy before we were gonna play that show, so I thought that was really sick that ended up working out, because I feel like I like them. What else is influenced? I feel like Caroline Polachek we really like.
Yeah, I would say a lot of our influences are very far outside of what we actually play. We're always listening to things as far as pop and hip hop to country.
Love the new Lil Yachty album.
The new Lil Yachty album is good. Yeah.
Chef's Kiss.
I'm a diehard Big Thief fan, which I know is boring by now.
Hey, they were snubbed. Okay, I get it. They were snubbed at the Grammys.
I the new Sasami album that came out last year was so fucking good.
Deerhoof, love. I don't know.
But yeah, weirdly, not a whole lot of 90s stuff. For sure, Pixies is something we could point to.
Clearly. You tried to steal their name so clearly.
Yeah.
I guess the way I see it is they pre-stole our name.
Yeah.
But...
And we emailed them that, but we haven't heard anything yet.
You guys did this before, it was my idea. It hurts.
You're reincarnated versions of us, actually.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I think in some ways, just growing up in the 90s, that music is sort of just ingrained, and so it comes out almost without intending it to.
Mm-hmm. That's a funny way of looking at it. It's us just living out the music we grew up with without realizing it.
I feel like sometimes a song will come out sounding like something that I don't actively listen to, but I can sort of recognize its roots in some way.
So we also wanted to ask, because we're a queer magazine on campus, one of the oldest ones across the nation.
And Junior High LA is a very queer spot to have a concert also.
So we wanted to ask, how does your music connect to the queer community? And if it doesn't explicitly, what do you think queer fans would enjoy about your music?
I don't think we appeal to any one community explicitly, but I would hope that like our unapologetic ourselvesness would be relatable to anybody who doesn't want to like walk the line that people say they're supposed to walk. I feel like we just do what we want to do because it feels good to us, and I feel like that applies musically and also personally, and I hope that the music listeners who feel that way listen to us. And I don't know, I guess it's crazy to think we might empower anybody to do anything, but if we could empower, you know, any community, the queer community especially, to like continue to be themselves, that's fucking awesome.
I do love the straightforwardness in the music. There's like parts, I think, of your first album where I was like, damn, that hits hard. I really loved your albums just a lot. There was one where it was like, where there was a voicemail from like PayPal and like
that shit's gay.
Overblown.
Yeah, I was like, wow, a music store. Interesting. But yeah, no, definitely love the spoken outness. That's not a word.
Outspokenness.
Outspokenness. There you go. Thank you. Outspokenness of your albums. It's amazing. My next question is, what are future goals for Grocer?
Keep touring.
Yeah, we want to tour more than we already are. I feel like we'll definitely put more music out. Like, I have no worries about that. Like, we like to write and we like to play together, and we just want to play more, I think.
I'm really, it's hard to look past the tour that's right around the corner. I feel like that zone is like really our comfort zone. And so it is just, it's going to be exciting to get into that mode of like the traveling show. I feel like that's where we really thrive. Yeah, I feel like an album is probably going to happen at some point. There will for sure be at least one more tour this year that we can't like officially talk about yet. It's not that, it is exciting. So it's exciting.
It's not that exciting. It's fine. It's whatever.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just looking forward to being on the road and like seeing the country again. Our wonderful, illustrious
United States.
Warm country.
I mean, I think it is wonderful, you know, like we go out there, we meet amazing people and see beautiful things, and it sort of can remind us how great the country actually is, despite what it feels like when you're on the internet.
It's like the cognitive dissonance of like the macro sucks, but the micro has so much beauty.
Yeah,
it's
like the
really
communities
tricky
that you meet as you're touring in every city. And it's like you can be in a place like you're in Arkansas or Alabama or these places where you kind of have maybe preconceived notions that they're going to be different from you and their political beliefs are going to be different from you. But then you actually get to meet these individual people and see like how many similarities you have with them and that they have the same struggles you do. And I feel like there's something really, really nice and beautiful about that to remember, you know, like, as much as the country does suck, that there's people here living their lives and that you can bring an experience when you're on tour for them.
To bring it back, I feel like, to the question of our like goals around that, like that is sort of like touring is extremely fun for us, and like our goals are based on just doing more of the stuff we like to do. So, you know, we like being on the road and we like playing music. So if we can do more of that next year, then that feels like we've achieved our goals.
Totally agree.
Great. Yeah. There's no point in doing it if you don't love it. And it feels like, you know, you've gone through the ringer in terms of changing situations, trying to get your band off the ground. And I feel like the way you get through it is through that love. So I'm excited to see what you all make next with we love to do this and we want to do it more mindset.
Speaking of touring, what places are you looking forward to going to in the next few months?
Or even just like dream.
Or even just like dream tour locations.
I feel like the day we changed the name to Grocer, we were sitting at a coffee shop in Delaware, like near your parents' house, and
we were like, we're going to tour in Japan.
Ooh.
And we were get tickets to do that. And we were like, it does seem like something kind of weird is happening in Asia.
I'm sure it's not.
Maybe, like, it's probably going to be fine, but we should wait, like, 2 weeks before we buy these tickets. And then 2 weeks passed, and we were like, we should maybe wait another 2 weeks, because this didn't clear up. And then,
it's been a couple more weeks.
It's been, like, some more weeks. I'm not very good at math. More weeks have passed.
It's been, like, 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
But we're getting around there. So, like, Japan is definitely up there.
Yeah.
We also, like, we book all the tours ourselves. We do it all ourselves, which I think
Unless
is
you know anyone, in which case...
Yeah, sure. But I feel like that is why we're invested so hard, because it's like all the work being done is like here on this couch. And we tried to put a European tour together, and it was fucking hard. And I feel like we're getting to the point where booking U.S. tours is like not easy, but it's way easier than it used to be. And like doing it in Europe, it seems impossible to do without a third party. So that would be cool. I don't know, to just like tour the same places, but like opening for other people seems really incredible. Honestly, this really ties into just like, I fucking want to just tour. I'll do it whenever, wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there really is like a lot to offer in almost every city. You just have to sort of find the vein of like weirdos who love music as much as you do, and once you like find that vein, it's just like it's always a good time when you go there, because there's a small community in every place of like people, you know, who don't exactly exist in that mainstream world and appreciate, you know, different things like we do.
What are your dream bands that you'd open for?
Calm,
Yeah,
would be one.
I would love to open for Deerhoof. I personally do feel like it kind of makes sense. And that would be like super life affirming. Also Big Thief, it doesn't make much sense, but like that would just be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The Breeders would be fun.
Yeah, it's a good one. I feel like in a lot of ways, like a certain level of popularity, like playing arenas, like would be cool. But I very much enjoy like playing like venues.
That are more
like,
intimate.
Yeah, that you can like actually like have a more of a connection with the individuals. Not that I've played an arena to know, but I feel like my dream opening band is only, you know, one step above. I don't think my dream would be to open for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, that feels like a little bit less fun for me personally. Not because there's a chili peppers.
Danielle looking at you like, we could open for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I was gonna make a joke about you two. Like,
I know we're talking to people in Southern California, so I have to make sure that
I have the tattoo of the thing, the logo. Everyone in California is born with it at this point.
Well, we hope one day. One day we're gonna look up and Big Thief is coming to LA, and it's gonna be you guys. So, fingers crossed, manifesting.
Willing it into existence.
Manifesting.
I could see it. I could see it. And I agree with small venue concerts over arena concerts. I just feel like they're just a lot more. Feels like a better vibe. I feel like arena concerts are just too vast, at least for me. But also, I'm just a concert goer and not so much a concert player.
Yeah.
I feel like we like pride ourselves in our like energy and like on our stage, like our shows. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when there are arena shows, it's like pyrotechnics and moving platforms, and it's like less about the artistry of the band and more like what the tech crew is capable of or something. And I feel like it kind of blurs like what the point of going to see live music is. Like, I feel it's a less like pure version of it.
I think that's cool. It's cool. It's just like a different thing. I could never even put myself in the mindset of like filling those level rooms. It seems really hard and like narcissistic. But you know, it's easy for me to say, not famous and rich.
Right.
Yeah, those stadium tours of 30,000 people for $100 each, overrated. Couldn't be me.
Yeah, for real. I like Harry Styles.
We could do 15 tours at the Kia Forum. It's okay. We could do it.
Yeah,
if we get there. We need to.
If it comes across, we'll do it, I guess.
Yeah. We'll chat.
I'll open the email. Open it.
So we talked a little bit about future goals, but what can listeners/fans expect of Grocer next? Like, what are some upcoming projects that you want to plug here? Upcoming tours, etc.
Yeah, there'll be nothing immediately.
We're already
On the-
we're already working on new music.
Yeah, so the tour, we're hitting junior high on the 30th. We're in San Diego the day after on the 31st. We're in Long Beach the day before on the 29th of March. And there will be a couple songs that are not off of the anything. So I don't know. We're always like, it's tough. It's like sort of incremental. We do everything little by little. We do it all by ourselves. So nothing at the moment, but that could change soon, and will change soon.
Yeah, I think it'll be, I feel like there's a cycle to it. There's like you make an EP or an album, and then you spend months promoting or touring or whatever, and then you spend a few months writing and a few months recording. And so when this comes out, we'll be right at the end of a release cycle and probably about to enter into another writing cycle. So, give us 9 months or something, and we'll have a new album.
And we'll be back in LA.
Back in LA.
Oh, yeah.
With all new stuff.
At the Hollywood Bowl opening for Vampire Weekend.
Yeah. We'll have to do a follow-up then if you're... We won't be here anymore, but we'll have to indoctrinate some new, younger OutWrite folks to interview you in a year when you are opening for Vampire Weekend. It'll be good.
I can see the title of it now, Grocer Revisited a year later.
Yeah, Grocer Revisited, and they're undead. That's crazy. And hopefully Judah's going to be able to come to your junior high LA show and do a little tour review. So
I'm hoping.
Yes.
I'm hoping
that'll be awesome.
that nothing happens because I really want to go because I enjoy your music a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the new EP. I've been sitting there waiting for it, refreshing. I
know it's not here yet, but
to get released. Because I just love your music a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I know it's not tomorrow in this, but to you personally, tomorrow the next single is coming out. So.
Oh. All right.
Judah's ready. Midnight.
I know.
Finger
I'm so
on the
ready.
Command R. Command R. So I guess to everyone watching this, it'll already be out, and it's not specifically for you, it's for Judah, okay?
Yeah, just a reminder.
It's like we've been watching that for a month.
We've seen that video.
I have one more question, and it's just, so Downtown Side from your new EP, Scatterplot, sounds different from past projects. At least to me, it sounds just a little bit different. You've also talked a lot about the evolution of your sound. And this is the last question, I promise. Each of your projects seem to have a different motif in terms of sound, and my question is pretty much, how are you experimenting with sound and just imagery and all of that in your upcoming EP?
Love that question. I feel like this specifically sonically, Downtown Side, we recorded actually in a recording studio.
Oh wow!
And actually playing it live, all together. Where typically we're just in our basement and we don't really have the capacity to play everything all together. So we'll sort of, we'll record the drums first, and then we'll add the bass and the guitar and then the vocals, which I think is pretty standard for a lot of bands. But we love playing together, and we wanted to capture that live energy. And we figured, let's go to a studio who could facilitate that. And so that one I think has a different sound, sort of for that reason. But the rest of the EP is not done that way, so we'll lead you astray sonically.
But I think to further answer the question, I think it is that we're starting to explicitly be okay, what are we capable of? We know what it sounds like when I sing, when Danielle sings, when Nick sings. We can sort of cast the songs better, and I think it turns out that we become more I don't know. We lean into whatever it is that makes us even more, because I think we're starting to be able to sniff it out or hunt it down a bit more. Mm-hmm. So even though I think, yes, the songs are all disparate from one another, I think they all really touch on little bits of what we enjoy doing, and when looked at as a whole, it is cohesive in some way.
Yeah, I think we're spending a lot of time together, and we'll get collectively on certain, I feel like when we were writing Numbers Game, we were kind of getting into Zen and like meditation and like doing a lot of like ritualistic things together. And I feel like a lot of that mentality just permeated throughout the group. And so a lot of the like themes and stuff were informed in some way by just kind of the general interests that we collectively go through in phases and stuff.
Yeah, I think we've also tried to write more from our own perspectives and less about like putting ourselves in other people's shoes or like more abstract situations.
Yeah, we're trying to be more personal and kind of like what you said, like exaggerating our own personalities further, like really drawing ourselves out. And I think in that process, you know, whatever we're into in that moment will just be kind of the present aesthetic or motif that, and I think we all love, like, Scatterplot is that name because we kind of have these, like, collection of songs that feel kind of random, but we love to connect the dots. Like, we love to take ideas and try to find those through lines and tie them up in a nice little bow at the end and find these little connections. And so sometimes it doesn't start like there's a motif, but then we sort of find that motif later.
I don't even consider us that absurd of a band, but I feel like absurd television or movies will have like an internal logic or an internal rule book that they follow, and it like makes the whole thing make sense in some way, even though it's like weird. I like to think that we kind of do that, like we allow ourselves to be out there, but I think there are like nonverbal things that we try and, you know, maintain the whole time to give that, you know, underlying feeling that it is the same people the whole time or something.
I like that metaphor with the scatter plot, that things are all over the place, but there is a tie. And I know Judah said last question, but I am curious if I like asking this question to musicians because they think it's difficult, and it is difficult. But if you could only listen, if you're in for hard mode, one song for the rest of your life, if you want it a little easier, one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I feel like it's like Marquee Man just because it's so long.
Get more music out of it.
433, John Cage.
Everyone doing the same thinking face.
I feel like I've been really, I feel like I kind of go through phases where I have albums that over the course of the year, I feel like one album will stick with me, and I'll pull it through to every other years where there's like albums I'll like, but I kind of forget they exist maybe. Mm-hmm. And I feel like one from a few years ago that I've been listening to again this week is Dear Nora Skull's Example. I feel like that album's so beautiful and chill also that I feel like I could probably find a lot out of it if I had to.
I feel like if Debussy's Claire de Lune was playing in the background for the rest of time, I wouldn't hate that.
That works.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
What do you got, Nick?
I would probably choose something like very strange and experimental, because I feel like the weirder and more dissonant it is, that I feel like ages the best upon like more listens. Okay, which is not a fun answer at all, but
it's the cool answer though.
Listen to something experimental to really get stuff out of it.
Or I feel like a melody. If you hear like a hooky melody like 100 times, you like hate it. But I feel like if there isn't anything repetitive in the music, if you listen to it a bunch of times, then you start to get that repetition for the first time after 100 listens.
That's a real dice roll to me. Like, I think that actually deeply angular, experimental, harsh music would age the best over repetitively.
But even it wouldn't have to be that harsh. Like, I feel like a Rainbow and Curved Air is like dense music. Okay. And it's like, it is slightly melodic, but it never really repeats. So every time you listen to it, you're getting
something different.
Yeah, there's more stuff to really click into.
Okay.
They'll accept that answer. You're still in the band. It's okay. Don't worry.
Thanks for making that decision, because Cody and I were about to
executive decision.
I'll see you guys later.
For the revisit.
Yeah, he's completely gone. It's like, and it's just Cody and Danielle. Great.
Yep.
Awesome.
We're both playing synths now. Sorry.
Well, we won't force you onto a desert island, so you won't truly know if he's right. But
We know if he's right or not.
Yeah.
I know he is.
Well, thank you so much for coming. You all can follow OutWrite on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at OutWrite Newsmag. You can also read our bi-weekly articles on outwritenewsmag.org. That's right spelled WRITE. You can follow Grocer Band on It's Grocer on all social media. Their EP will be out by the time this episode comes out, but you should buy tickets to their Junior High LA show on March 30th. Catch Judah there. I have been Christopher.
And I've been Judah.
And this has been Grocer. And we will
Thanks for
see
having
you.
us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you on the next episode of Speak Out. Goodbye, everyone.